Imagine going to a doctor you trust, only to be told you have cancer. You cry, you panic, but you follow the treatment anyways because he told you it's the only way out. He says it's the only way to survive. Monica was 32, a mother of 2, and perfectly healthy until she met Dr. Farid. She really didn't ask for a second opinion because what's the point? The man in front of her is like an expert, he knows what he's doing, he's the owner of one of the biggest hospitals across the United States. He told her she has to start chemo immediately. No time to wait, neither is there any time to think. Weeks later, her hair was gone, her immune system collapsed. She bled internally for hours before they rushed her to the hospital. But there is actually a twist in this whole story. Monica really didn't have any cancer. She was only getting the chemotherapy that was ruining her body for basically no reason. And let me also shock you guys, this isn't really a fiction. It's not something in a book or something being made in a movie. It is a true life story, and it is one of the most horrifying medical cases in the United States. So I'll be telling you guys all about what happened to Monica, how this doctor, Dr. Farid, was making a lot of money telling every one of his patients that they've got cancer, and by that, ruining their lives. Dr. Farid Fata was everything a patient could dream of. Lebanese born, US trained, owner of one of the largest private cancer clinics in Michigan. His clinic had marble floors, water fountains, prayer rooms. His business card said, "We care, we cure." But in the back room of his building, there was something way more sinister and way more dark actually really going on there. Patients walked in for routine checkups, minor anemia, fatigue, even just chest pain. They almost always walked out with a death sentence. Okay, let's use Mark as an example. Mark is basically a very young guy who had no previous history of any illness. He was very fine, but one day at work, he fell to the floor and fainted. And for no reason should anyone actually ignore any symptom as such. So Mark did the right thing and went to meet Dr. Farid. Dr. Farid told him he had multiple myeloma, an aggressive blood cancer. And guess what? He started chemotherapy the same week. 2 years later, when a second doctor checked his records, there was no evidence of cancer ever. By then, he had lost his teeth, his fertility, and part of his memory. Dr. Farid Fata didn't just fake diagnosis. He went further. He created a factory of pain. He forced terminally ill patients to undergo chemo when they were already in hospice. He told grieving families there is still hope, so he could squeeze out a few insurance bills before the patient died. To understand how horrifying this is, let's break down chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is one of the most aggressive medical treatments in the world. It destroys fast-growing cells. That includes cancer. But apart from cancer, there are also other fast-growing cells across the body. That includes your hair follicles, the bone marrow, the immune cells, the gut linings, the reproductive organs. So basically, giving it to someone without cancer is like burning down your house to kill a spider, when in this case, there was never a spider. So now let's break down how this evil doctor was actually caught. The truth finally surfaced when Angela Swatek, a seasoned nurse, started working at Fata's clinic. Within 2 days, she noticed something really bizarre. Patients were receiving chemotherapy on their first visit without biopsy results, without second opinions. She filed a complaint with the state. They ignored it. So she went to the FBI. On August 6, 2013, federal agents raided Fata's offices. What they found was an industrial-scale scheme, $17 million stolen from Medicare, over 550 confirmed victims, medical records altered, evidences shredded. He was arrested and never showed any remorse. In 2015, Farid Fata stood before a courtroom full of broken patients, some in wheelchair, some with bald head, some dying. A father screamed, "You killed my wife. She trusted you." Another man, once an athlete who could barely walk, said, "He took my health, my savings, my dignity." The judge called it the most egregious case of medical betrayal in US history. Fata was sentenced to 45 years in prison, which many victims said isn't enough. I mean, understandably, for someone who had done something this horrific to so many people, most would expect something like a life sentence or what have you. But I don't know, maybe because he's got really good lawyers or because the judges didn't just understand the gravity of what we're dealing with in this situation, he only basically just got 45 years in prison. Cases like this forces us to ask some very serious questions. For example, how many doctors out there are actually abusing their power, their trust right now? Another important question is, how do we really understand diagnosis? So for this particular video, this is what I want everyone to learn and everyone to understand. First and foremost, never accept a life-changing diagnosis without a second opinion. As a patient, if you walk into the hospital and someone tells you you've got a disease that is actually really serious, it's very important to always ask for a second opinion. It doesn't matter if it's someone you trust or not. It is just something that you should do for yourself. And importantly, you should ask questions, ask for proof, ask for tests. A case like cancer cannot be diagnosed without what we call a biopsy. You need to bring out a cell, check it under a microscope, and be sure if this is actually what the diagnosis is. And thirdly, because someone is in a white coat or basically being called a doctor does not give them any form of immunity and does not make them a saint in any way. As long as the person is human, there is a possibility that they could have their own very, very dark side. And guess what? You do not want to be the victim of another disturbed mind. Someone like Farid destroyed a lot of lives, not with a gun, but of course with prescriptions. He was able to take advantage of hundreds, maybe perhaps thousands. And till now, we've got some of his patients that are still alive, but some are no longer alive. Some are probably bedridden, some are probably just in a really, really bad shape right now. But at the end of the day, every single one of them are victims of trust. So if you find this video really helpful or you find it very enlightening, I know it is horrific, please kindly subscribe for more, as we're basically in this channel to discuss everything medical, to discuss about some of this really, really dark medical side. And it's something we all need to be talking about and we all really need to learn from. So thank you for watching the video if you've watched it to this point, and I'll see you another time. Peace.